She observed that he was unwrapping something bound in milk bar paper. Something that smelt very, very good in the fetid air. This was what the police should use to torture the bad guys into talking, she thought to herself as the scent arrived in force. Then she couldn't think much further, because her salivary glands exploded, flooding her mouth until she almost drooled onto her jumper. Oh, dear God, they've added vinegar. Poppy forgot to hide her stare now, as the boy lifted one fried, salty potato scallop into the air and took a big bite, ripping the crispy coating from its white, soft innards. The air around his mouth fogged from the sudden heat in the cold carriage air, and his lips were shiny as he chewed, mouth half open, probably from burning his tongue, but he didn't seem to care. Suddenly she wanted to kiss that mouth, even more than she wanted to eat those delicious golden discs. So sensual was his pleasure, so eager his hunger as his mouth devoured that flesh. Then he did notice her, and she felt herself blush as he paused mid-chew. A slightly teasing smile spread across his face, transforming him from quite attractive to bloody gorgeous. Licking his fingers, he offered her the wafting pile. Want some? There was something so suggestive about it, she could almost imagine he was asking her to share in carnal adventures rather than fried potatoes. And her cheeks flamed as the old lady looked up with a disapproving frown, sliding her gaze from the boy to Poppy. I do, said a voice heavy with flirtation. The dog squad were on the prowl, and Poppy could only watch as they approached, swinging their hair about and grabbing onto poles in predatory fashion. Rosemary predicted they would seduce the richest men they could find after graduation, and have more money than any of the Dags, the group she and Poppy were usually considered part of. Unless they got themselves pregnant over summer and stuffed up their North Shore housewife careers, Rosemary had added hopefully. The train paused at Warrawee Station, sighing into activity, and the boy let them take a scallop, which the prowlers divided and ate with exaggerated rapture. Barbara said, smiling at him as she licked her lips. The boy continued to eat, watching them almost expectantly, like he was used to this kind of attack. Then he shifted his gaze back towards Poppy, and to her shock gave her a wink. Contempt soured Barbara's otherwise pretty face, and Poppy tensed, knowing retaliation would be swift and sharp. What are you doing coming home so late, Ploppy? Are you in an Oompa Loompa band or something? She sneered, nodding at the cello. The other two girls laughed, and all eyes in the carriage turned Poppy's way. Just the school band, she mumbled, wishing she had the courage to tell Barbara such Bavarian groups were made up of brass musicians, not string, but of course that would just prolong the ridicule and scrutiny. Truth was, she loved her cello, and was majoring in music, hoping it would be her ticket to ride, as the Beatles would say, straight into university. Maybe she had to go to pirate class, Raylene suggested, and Barbara let out a short laugh. Yes, where is that eye patch these days, freak show? Or is Mummy changing the pattern? Poppy felt every part of her body tense up at the mention of her most embarrassing teenage moment, the day her mother covered half her glasses with orange floral wallpaper to hide the gauze and bandaging beneath. Having an eye operation at 13 was bad enough. Having every person she passed stare and laugh at her mother's attempt to pretty the situation up was social suicide. The eye healed eventually, so well she no longer even had to wear glasses, but the stigma had long remained. Fortunately, the boy didn't ask any questions, seemingly more intent on finishing his feast, and Barbara moved closer, flirtatious facade back in place. And why are you home late? Or is this your normal time to catch the train? Poppy let out a relieved breath, glad to have the focus shifted from her, and listened to the answer. She had been wondering that herself. Poppy knew most of the boys on this train line after 6 years of high school, by sight only for the most part.